Guess we're live. Here we go. Put you up here. Around. Bring you up. Cool. Can you guys see me? Check on the other phone here. So for people that are watching later, this is going to be really boring. But for people that want to hang out live, we can chat, have a good time. Let's see here. Much more fun to hang out live, I think. And we have a bunch of people here already. So who's here? We have a bunch of people here already. So who's here? Oh shoot. Shucks. Test, test. Good. Okay. Phone call. Chaos and bedlam tonight. Hey, Larry. The 372 runs. Ran that. Did Ken's usual 3 cycles and tuned it and sent it back to the old customer. Tom Stitt. Tom, I haven't seen you on before. Who are you? Welcome. I don't have an agenda tonight. I don't actually have anything going that I can think of offhand. Mostly because I'm waiting on stuff. The 372 is out the door, which is good. The 262, I'm waiting on the needle bearing. The 34, I'm waiting on the bar plate still. The 394, we need to do some porting on, but I'm waiting on some other stuff for that. Hey, Roger. From sunny Scotland. Welcome. Hello for the United States. Welcome. Awesome. So basically, I'm here hanging out tonight. So if you guys have questions or anything like that, we can do that. I'm not used to doing this whole work thing, and that's going to happen tomorrow bright and early, so I'm going to need to get to bed pretty soon, but I can give you a quick tools update. Very simply, I need more sleeves, in particular more large sleeves. I'm down to only a couple. So I will be getting those probably Wednesday. They're already on order. They're going to be, the blanks are going to be cut Wednesday. If I have time, I'll go down to my folks Friday, Saturday, Sunday, one of those days, and machine a few myself. That way I've got plenty. The M14 rods where the tap broke, the M14 rods, I got 2 taps that were delivered to the machinist, so they should be, if they can find some time this week, would be good. So that'll be good. I'm also anticipating if he can do a few more of the 661 rods, then that'll be good too. What else? So if I have that, then I'll definitely have pretty good stock. And what I have to do then is, I've got another order placed with the other metals place. I'm going to see if I can get another 100 rod blanks cut. And once I have those, then I'll definitely have really good stock. And Ken showed up, so special thanks to Ken for this cool little metric equivalence pocket guide. Millimeters to decimals, decimals to millimeters, and fractions to decimals to millimeters. Thank you, Ken. So let's see what else. I had my high school 20th anniversary 20th reunion last night, and that was interesting. Is the 262 a newer or older saw? By the date code, let's see, 93, I think. It's older because it has the compartment here that nobody actually knows what it's for. The tool compartment or whatever the heck it was supposed to be. Nobody really has a great straight answer on what that is. So yeah, the older saws have that. The newer ones didn't. But the cylinder here is ready to rock. I mean, it's basically cleaned up about as good as I can get it, and polished and ready to go. I literally just need that stupid wrist pin bearing, which is on order. So as soon as I get that, then we can put the rest of the 262 together and get it to pop. I found by chance. I think it was Friday because I was at my folks, actually having Thanksgiving dinner on Friday. But I was at my folks and I happened to be on my phone and I looked on eBay, which is what I do normally. But I looked on eBay and I happened to see that somebody had put up a 394 part saw for pretty cheap. Buy it now. So somebody made a mistake and put a low price on a buy it now for a 394 part saw. So I've got that coming. As soon as I saw that, I was like, "Yep, buy it now." So that will help put the 394 together. It won't be everything. I've ordered a bunch of other stuff. I've ordered stuff from SLE Equipment, and I have a whole pile of stuff I have to order from HL Supply. I was kind of hoping they'd do free shipping this weekend. It's kind of what I'm hoping. We'll see. I don't know. They got a bunch of deals going, but I don't know about free shipping. I was kind of hoping for free shipping. So, and then I ordered a bunch of stuff from E Replacement Parts too. Yeah, I did luck out. That's the thing with eBay. If you can find every once in a while somebody makes a mistake and they'll put something in there for buy it now for kind of a low number, or they'll do something stupid like put in. I caught one guy. It was like $250 for a set of tires or wheels and tires, rims and tires, and he had put that it was free shipping on there. And so I immediately clicked buy it now on that, and it had he had specified free shipping, and then he tried to get me to pay for shipping, and eBay said, you don't get to do that, because I told them, this was the terms which I bought it under. He's trying to change the deal, and they told him that he couldn't do that. So every once in a while you can catch people sleeping, but you have to you gotta be on the ball on that stuff. It's tough. Tom, Rancher 455 built up from scratch is starting to degrade. I am going full rev dies down. Check no air leak. New carb air vent. Going to full rev, it dies down. Is it a new OEM carb or is it an aftermarket carburetor? The air vent is air vents are easy to diagnose. Um, the air vent will be a thing where the saw will die after about 5 minutes of running. So it's going to run good for like 5 minutes, and then the saw will die. And then how you diagnose the air vent is actually you crack the fuel cap, let it vent, put the fuel cap back, and then if it starts perfect, then you're good to go. Um, then indeed it is the air vent, but that's how you diagnose the air vent basically, because air vents just allow there to be a vacuum, because you're trying to pull fuel up into the carburetor and you need a vacuum into the carburetor is pulling the vacuum, but you need to have air come into the fuel tank. So that's when an air vent happens. Aftermarket carburetor, yeah. If there's no air leak, a couple of things. One, check and make sure that your exhaust is clear. Um, but a lot of aftermarket carburetors don't flow fuel. So when I was doing the Ranchers, I don't think they had aftermarket carburetors available. But throwing a new OEM carburetor at it is always really nice. I know that they're not cheap though. That's the thing. 455 Ranchers, you have to say, are they really worth it to build? And these bigger ticket items really mess you up. So brand new exhaust. Kev, we'll get to you. Don't worry. Um, brand new exhaust. So did you actually do tuning on it? Did you open up the low and make sure that the low and high screws actually work as they're supposed to? And while you're thinking about that, Kevin, good evening. Spend a day stripping, testing, filling. Backpack blower. You bought an addiction. Found a mud wasp deep in the exhaust. Kev, I had mud daubers one day in a 200T carburetor. There's a little air horn vent type thing, rubber vent, and I found mud daubers in there. That was pretty good. Impulse line. I forget how the 455 Ranchers have their impulse line. Um, you could have a leak in it. It's possible. Right. Fuel fresh. New plug. The basics, obviously. If you got an ignition coil going bad, sometimes it'll act like that too. These are always a pain in the neck to diagnose, because some of these components are really pricey. If the ignition coil is going bad, it's not going to run right either. Might idle all day, but then it doesn't respond well. It doesn't have really good pop. Well, maybe it's the ignition coil. I've seen that too. Ken, did you filter all the water out of that aquarium? What are your thoughts on properly breaking a new saw in? Roger, I don't particularly have thoughts on that. Um, I know that some people have really specific thoughts on that, and I don't. So usually, if I'm am I breaking in a saw? I'm not usually quote unquote breaking in a saw. I'm usually just running it, and I run most of my stuff at somewhere around 32 or 40 to 1. Make sure there's a little extra oil in there, if you're just starting it fresh. Um, but that's just me. So I don't have really strong feelings about break in process, if that makes any sense. And remember, I'm not usually breaking in brand new saws. It's fairly rare that I go buy a brand new saw. I mainly, build all this stuff from scratch. So I make sure that, the bearings are already greased. If you look at the 262, the bearings are greased when I put them in. So the fuel will eventually wash that out. Eventually, it'll burn it out. But um, I mean, really, if you're going to break it, you got to seat the rings. You got to get it hot. You got to run it. So get it hot, run it. And when the rings eventually seat, you'll just notice it. It'll have a little bit more power. But I know that there are people that have really strong feelings about it, and I'm not that person. Gavin, yeah, I'm 32 to 1, 32 or 42 32 to 1, 40 to 1, somewhere in there. I like to run extra oil, especially I worry about those aftermarket bearings. So I tend to think, hey, a little bit of extra oil is better in the aftermarket bearings. It's not. Some people think there's less power with the oil, but some people think there's more. Who knows? I tend to add just a little bit of extra oil and not be stingy with the oil. Right, you can measure by plug color. I mean, I know a lot of guys do that, Larry. I don't. I just run things, and but I also have the luxury of being able to tear something down pretty easily if I really need to. So I don't really mind going and just hammering on something uh, pretty much as soon as I get it going. Get it running, put it in wood, and see where she goes. Now, I'm not running small saws with really long bars, so I'm not trying to put super heavy loads on everything. The bigger saw is like a 394. I'll go cut with it for a bit and then mill with it. That's what I did with one of my latest ones. I've been milling with that for a while and it's been great. So, you come right out of a cut for you've been going for 20 minutes straight. Comes right out of a cut, let off the gas, it goes right back to idle. Perfect. That's what you want. But it needs a little extra oil in there if you are doing those type of cuts. And Gavin, I generally don't recommend an all aftermarket 660. If you're putting it together for fun, that's fine. But I think it's pretty well documented that a lot of the parts in there need to be swapped. So there's plenty of parts in there that just really need to be swapped out if you're going to be running that thing for any length of time. And Walt has a pretty good list on his channel. I don't know exactly where it is, but he's covered that pretty much in depth on his channel. So that's a fleet command. You want to look him up. I'll put it right here. So and Walt's fun to watch. So he's got all kinds of interesting ideas. Hey Tim, you staying warm down there? Actually, it was a pretty nice day. So Gavin, does that answer your question? Um, some things I have pretty strong feelings about. Some things I don't. So things like, actually, I was just noticing that on one of Buck and Billy Ray's videos, he was going to talk about how he tunes chainsaws and how he sharpens things, and I'm like, I'm not going to touch that because there are so many other guys that do sharpening and how to tune. I mean, M. Weeba has a great video, and I just sent somebody there the other day. Um, M. Weeba has a great video on how to tune a chainsaw. I don't need to do the video. I don't, I'm not awesome at it, so I don't really want to be that guy. And I'm not awesome at sharpening either, so I'm pretty good. Um, but I also, there's a lot of guys that have really strong opinions about how to sharpen chainsaws. So it's just not something that I want to get into. And oil is kind of the same thing. There are a lot of guys that really, there are a lot of guys that really have pretty strong opinions on what oil you should be using at what ratios, break-in periods, all that stuff. Not me. Yeah, Gavin, the one thing about the 660 is certainly that proprietary big end bearing with the nylon cage worries the heck out of me. But there are some guys that have tons of tanks on those things and seems to be okay. My suggestion would be if you're at all worried about that bearing like I am, I have it in my saw to run a little bit more oil in the gas. Yeah, like all these channels, Buckin, Walt, they everybody's got their own thing, and that's fine. I have no desire to kind of step on toes there. I want to fill in the places where I can, especially with all the bolt for bolt stuff. It, the really boring stuff is where I like to go because nobody else is going to do those videos. It's just going to be me. And so we can do the super boring, how to take it apart, how to bring it back together. We can do a little bit of troubleshooting, go over that. Um, I have a hard time troubleshooting myself. So if I'm going through a saw after I've built it, believe me, I get stuck times, and I end up calling people because I'm adept at troubleshooting, but there are times when saws just want to stump you, and it's enough to drive you crazy. Yeah, I watched the same video, Larry. So, David, where's the chain? Tell me it popped. Did it pop? Did you get it to pop? Come on. What I use Husky 350s go for is 75 too much. Tim, depends hugely. It depends on whether or not there is the metal intake clamp is there. If the metal intake clamp is there, then it's it's probably worth a little bit more. If the metal intake clamp isn't there, my opinion, that is a part saw. Because if the metal intake clamp isn't there, you technically need one to more or less ensure that you're not going to have a leak. And in order to get it there, you need to pull the head off. So there's no dealer that's going to do that. They're just going to show you the new saw rack. Some people just want to run them. That's fine, and risk it. But that's not me. I would just tear it down. And the thing is, when you're doing Husky 350s, you're not just tearing down the cylinder head. You want to remove the cap that goes over the bearings, reseal it, and also add a muffler support. So there's multiple things that need to be done to a 350, and I've got videos on that. But you have to decide what you're willing to put into it, because those are things you really need to do in order to make the saw a more reliable, more usable saw, my opinion. So you have to decide exactly what you're going to put into it. But if you look and there's no metal intake clamp, you already know you're into it for a full teardown. My opinion, then it's up to you what you want to spend on it. My suggestion might be $50. The chain's on. Good, David. That's a start. I think Husky 350s in rebuilt, good running shape are probably worth $250 all day long. Getting a lot. It has to be really nice to get $300 for it. Like fully rebuilt, new bearings, all that stuff, and the bearings are not cheap. I got lucky and picked these up on Chainsaw. These are actually OEM bearings for the Husky 350. The bearing and seal comes as one piece, and if you buy these new, they're like $30 a shot. But if you buy them, these were on Chainsaw at $15 a piece. I thought that was a really good deal. And he happened to have multiples, which was awesome. So I bought two the other day. Tim, does that help? It's an extensive answer to the question, but I've got lots of Husky 350 videos and explaining all that stuff. You got to be real careful about paying too much. And most people with chainsaws these days really want a fortune for them. It's kind of crazy. And I know because I've paid a fortune for them, you know. I've done that. Where's my impact? My 262 that I built, one of the first ones I built, I think I paid more than $200 just for the part saw. I was probably $300 in parts into it, and I think I sold it for $400. Have you seen all my videos? Oh God. Have your eyes rolled back in your headlight like, poor guy. I'm so boring to it, Tim. I appreciate the patronage, I do, but it's just I cannot possibly imagine watching that much of me. David, one of the problems with chainsaw is that they have an odd setup for their inventory and everything. So what happens is they'll if you search for something like the Husky 394 parts, they'll have 15 pages of parts, but you can't sort whether they have something in stock or not. So it'll say, "Oh, piston and cylinder." You know, you go click on it, and there's a zero in stock. You're like, "Oh, I just wasted 30 seconds trying to do that," or whatever. So um, it's kind of annoying to do that, to use that site, but for certain parts, it can work. Anything else going, guys? We got 16 people here hanging out. Anything else we got going? I'm eventually got to get ready for work tomorrow. Get everything ready to go. Yeah, this is health related stuff. Yeah, good, Ken. You read technical books. Oh man, yeah, it's kind of like reading a biology textbook. I imagine. Try and get parts in the UK can be right pain. Yeah, Tom, I hear you. Australia and New Zealand is tough too, I think. Jacob Reed, working on a couple 031 AV for fun. Jacob, I'm pretty sure that that would not classify as fun in my book, but okay. Those things go on Craigslist and become somebody else's problem. Usually Ken's. Send those to Ken. That's a good idea. He likes to work on pretty much anything. Cleaned up here. Gotta. If you say so, Tim. I don't know. I'm just that old stuff. I don't know. Doesn't really work for me. Waiting for two Pooch Maxis from the same client? I don't know what that is. Switch electronic ignition. Yeah, that's probably. Did they used to have points, Ken? Believe it or not, I've never worked on a saw that had reeds or points. I really have no desire to, in fact. Yeah. Get rid of the point and condenser. Yeah. Of course I'm talking about you guys. I don't have anything else to talk about right now. I'm sure I could find something, but not really super excitable about anything right now. I'm watching TV today. I was watching a little football earlier, and I'm not really even that big of a football fan, but it was on, so I was watching it. That's a good word for it. You have an Army Husky 181 that only starts putting gas straight down the pot. Tom, I have a 181 video series that I have not finished. I have done everything, but I just haven't. I haven't done the final editing on the final segment. Um, Tom, when was okay? So only starts putting gas straight down the pot. It will start and run all day. Another one, if you have ideas on Tom on that, I had trouble with the 181 trying to get it to run right. It had a kind of a funny double idle, and the only thing that fixed it was going to a brand new carburetor. And incidentally, you can on the 181 you actually have the new carburetor. When I put it in, it ran like beautiful, but it's a 288 carburetor, and you can get them from HL Supply. But if you're going to change the carburetor, you're going to go to the 288 carburetor. They do interchange, sort of. You have two choices. One, you can change out the throttle linkage. So this is a 262, but the throttle lever and the linkage here, you can change that to the 288 link, and then you have the roller effectively on the carburetor, and then that works. So if you get the 288 carb, then just get the 288 throttle trigger, and you'll be able to use the roller. The other thing you can do, if you want to keep the 181 linkage, is you can actually swap the carburetors. You can take the roller off the 288 carburetor and use the old 181 throttle shaft, which I ended up doing, and that works too. Packers at 820? Okay. You need to work on a 4200 pull on. No. Not really, no. I know, popular saw, but there's some guys that are really into those things. But the 181 is definitely a saw that's worth putting some money into. So, did you check the compression? Do you have new seals? Do you have, is it a new carburetor? Did you put a new fuel line on there? Make sure the fuel line's good. It sounds to me like if you're having trouble getting it going, then it's just having trouble sucking fuel. So if it's having trouble pulling fuel from the tank, change out the whole fuel system effectively and see if it's better. It might just be like the metering diaphragm in the carburetor might be a little bit stiff. That's possible too. And then once it gets going, it's good enough to keep it going. But diagnosing that specifically is kind of hard. Does that help? I hope that helps. I know. For me, it's just like, yeah, throw new parts at it, because for me, it's not really worth the time sometimes to go in and find the very specific problem that it was. Sometimes it's easier just to buy a whole pile of new parts, throw it at it. If that solves the problem, great. If not, then you can look elsewhere. I know, and it's called part starts, and everybody gets crazy about that, but um, it does work for me, especially on cars. And no, I haven't fixed the Volvo yet, but okay, here Volvo people. I haven't fixed the Volvo yet, but I filled it with gas. I got 4 gallons of super the other day in a tank. Put it in the car. I needed to jump it, but it started and revved and ran perfect. I mean, no hesitation, nothing. Perfect. And Tim brings up a good point. What is the compression on the 181? Because if you don't have great compression, then you're not going to have good ignition until it gets going a little bit, and then everything heats up and swells and tightens. So Tim has a good point. But anyway, so I put some fuel in the Volvo, and now the fuel gauge is at about 3/4 or a little bit higher, and I'm kind of wondering if the fuel level has something to do with the issues that I'm having with the hesitation um, in the Volvo. So if anybody has any thoughts on that, I'd love to hear it. But it really sounds like I'm going to be getting a new fuel pump, because if it is the fact that the gas goes down to half tank and then the car wants to starve for fuel, then it makes sense that there's something in the fuel tank there that's not right. Oh, that's it. There's really nothing terribly exciting there. And a new fuel pump in that 194,000 miles. So a fuel pump is $500 to $700, and they are very specific. Yeah, Larry, the whole unit is actually in the tank, and supposedly on the Volvos, the fuel pumps do not go bad. That's what I've heard. The fuel pumps do not go bad on the Volvos. Um, could be something else, whatever. I don't know, but I'm just like, I really don't want to spend 500 to 700 bucks on something that it turns out not to be that. Got this off from a friend for nothing. That is the ideal price, Tom. Good for you. I've tried changing the diaphragm gas lines, but think you get a new carb. Compression 170. 170 sounds about right for that saw. That's good. If you haven't changed the seals yet, the crank seals, do that. If when you're changing the crank seals, you also have to change. There's a little O-ring that is proprietary. It goes on the oil pump and is kind of integral there. So make sure you change not only the seals, crank seals, but also that O-ring. If you haven't changed the crank seals out, it's time, because they are old and they are hard, and they open up when the saw gets warm, and you'll have an air leak and then cook the unit. But check, if you can check compression again, double check, make sure that the piston internally looks good. You can pull the muffler if you want to, make sure that looks really good, all that stuff. Yeah, so Larry, I think the sending unit is part of the pump and I think all of that is in the gas tank itself, which means that somehow I have to go through the trunk or whatever, or the back seat. I forget exactly what, and peel the carpet up and pull that out. I don't know, and it's a job too. 17 people here. Anybody have any updates on anything or any questions? I'm thinking about heading off to bed here pretty quick. I know. A couple of people just got here. Great. Sorry, guys. Sounds good, Tom. Yeah. Winter projects. I've got a bunch of chains to sharpen. I don't know. I'll eventually get to those. Just put them on the grinder and go for it. Kev Berry, what time is it there? 7:51. Almost 8. I gotta go get my stuff together for tomorrow and make sure tomorrow's all straight because I gotta get up, make the kids lunches, get out, go to work. Time to relax. Yeah, it's time to chill out. Probably put the game on. I guess Ken said that the Packers are on a little bit, so maybe go watch them. I'm not even a big football fan, but why not? Maybe get another cup of coffee. Had quite the time at my reunion last night, though. 20 years. Unbelievable. We had a good turnout, too. I think it was like they had 50 people RSVP, which is about a third of the class, which really isn't bad. Have a good night, Ken. So, anybody have any questions on the tools or anything like that before I take off? Just send me the tool. Yeah, Barlow. Tool in your hand? No, this one's mine. You can get these on eBay. Actually, I think this was like $25 on eBay. It really wasn't cheap. And then as soon as I bought it, they had a sale and it was like 18, and I'm like, oh, come on. But I should get a couple of these. I've actually used this a bit now on the 3/4 inch and 5/8 rods. Nearly no damage at all. Turkey sandwich for lunch. Yeah, for the kids, yeah. Did I get an email from Jeff? Sounds familiar. Oh, wait a minute. Here's why it sounds familiar. I have his address right here. uh, he bought a kit, but I don't have a full kit to send him, so I'm hopefully going to get everything together this week, and my hope would be ship out this weekend. You take care, Tom. I was like, yeah, Jeff. Yeah, Jeff, I did. Amazon has them for 13. Crap. All right. Well, I should get a couple more then. These are pretty darn handy. Actually, you know what I did want to check, which I didn't. Does it fit on pipe? No. So it will not fit outer diameter of 3/4 inch pipe. Well, that kind of sucks. Copper pipe. That would be awful useful. Oh well. Yeah, so thank you, Jacob. Trying to, I've got so many people in my mind right now. Trying to keep everybody straight has been. I think over the past year and a half, I've shipped out 700 rods, something like that. I've shipped. I have close to 190 people overall that I've shipped stuff to. So it's a lot. It's a lot of people. Um, I still think that the worldwide demand for the tools is probably about 1,000 kits. Um, the overall demand, because they don't really wear out. The tools definitely don't wear out. Um, Occasionally you might strip one or break one, but it's just not that big of a deal. And I've only had a few guys break them, and they were using them improperly anyway. David, if I can find an external that was like an inch in diameter, maybe then an inch and a quarter, oh my God, that'd be cool. I'd love to find that. Got to make a little more money first. I got to do some dentistry. Hmm. Okay, so I guess that's it. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out. I don't know what this week is going to bring as far as um, interesting stuff. If I can work on that 394 a little bit, move that along, that'd be good. I'm waiting on things to come in the mail, so it's going to be a little slow going there. Maybe if that project 394 shows up, actually I think it might show up tomorrow or Tuesday. If that shows up, we can definitely have some fun tearing that thing down. So, hey Brandon. So yeah, everybody have a great night. Be safe, and it was a good weekend. Good Thanksgiving weekend. We had a lot of fun this weekend. So time to go relax, and we'll see you guys soon. Okay. Email me if you need anything. Just put my email in here. Obviously, get rid of the ampersands. No porting tool yet. It's coming soon. We'll talk to you guys later. David, get that saw started. Bye.